how to fight. All right, this is Fight Club. I'm kidding, I'm joking. But how do we fight? A lot of married couples, they fight in ways that are very toxic, very unproductive, very, very unhelpful, and just ruins the marriage and adds more problems to the marriage. So I want to talk about how to fight in a way that's constructive, healthy, because let's face it, once you're married, you're not going to fight less. If you get one sinner and another sinner, put them together as a married couple, there's going to be more sin, not less sin. And so fighting happens with couples, with married couples. We can't avoid this. The question is how to fight in a way that's healthy. These are some rules that my wife and I use for our own marriage, which has helped us tremendously. And I think a lot of couples don't know this, but need to hear it. So, the thing you gotta first understand is that you may have your own maturity, your spouse has your own maturity, the marriage itself has its own maturity or level of growth, all right? So just because you get one person who's mature, another person who's mature, doesn't mean that the relationship, the marriage itself is gonna be mature. You're gonna have a new dynamic, a new season in life, and you gotta learn as you go. And so the marriage also has to grow. Think of your marriage as a kind of like a bank account, right? So you can add to it or you can subtract from it. And whenever you have a fight, if the fight is unhealthy, you're subtracting growth from your marriage. But if your fight or the way you fight is actually healthy, biblical, and you know how you handle confrontation is actually good, then contrary to popular opinion, this actually grows your marriage. It doesn't subtract, it adds to the marriage. Yes, it's a conflict. Yes, it's a fight. But it's a good, healthy kind of conflict that adds to the growth of the marriage. Now, I'm going to go through the rules real quickly. And again, this has helped so many couples who we've counseled over the years. I've counseled, a whole lot of couples throughout the years. And this is something that we've mentioned to these couples over and over again. Some rules are obvious, some are not. You can copy these rules with you and your loved one, your spouse or your boyfriend or girlfriend or whoever. But yeah. So anyway, let's get to the rules. Rule number 1, very, very clearly, very obvious, no hitting, no physical violence. Don't hit one another, punching, kicking, and all of that stuff. Just no, none of that. Okay, so if any of these rules are violated, then it will just subtract from the marriage. Okay, so first rule, no physical violence. I'm not going to say 1, 2, 3, 4 because I'm going to lose count. So one rule is no physical violence. Another rule is avoid the words always and never. You always do this. You never do that. You always leave the door open. You never turn off the lights. Okay? The words always and never. Just avoid it. If you see a pattern, you can say, hon, babe, love, sweetheart, cupcake. I noticed for the past few days, or I noticed for a couple of weeks now. All right, that's how you say it. Don't say always or never. All right. Another rule is try to make sure all your issues are resolved within the day. Do not fall asleep and then fix things tomorrow. Why? Because when you try to fix things tomorrow, you're going to go to sleep tonight. You're going to forget a lot of the issues, a lot of the specific details, and you're going to wake up tomorrow not feeling well, you're not going to be arrested, obviously. You're going to go to sleep angry. You're going to go to sleep frustrated. And when you wake up the next day, you won't remember so many different details which you really need to address. And what happens is, the longer you keep things in your heart as a couple, imagine yourselves with backpacks and every issue is a little stone or pebble in your backpack. And that's going to get heavier and heavier and heavier. And eventually what's going to happen is you're going to have what you call the ball of yarn effect, the spaghetti effect. All right, you're gonna have so many different issues in your life, in your marriage, that's gonna be so connected. It's gonna be so hard to fix them. That's why a lot of couples, you'll notice when they fight, the fight is about today, and then suddenly they talk about the stuff that happened last week, last month, last year, several weeks ago. That's not healthy, because these are the pebbles in the backpack. Another way to think about it is imagine different kinds of string. There's a cotton string, a yarn string, a nylon string, a rope, and you just jumble it all together. And if you don't fix one issue now, and you're gonna get a new kind of string, a new color, a different color of yarn, a different color of nylon, a different color of this and that, so many different ropes, it's gonna be so hard to untangle everything later on. So I don't suggest that. You gotta fix your issues before the sun goes down. The Bible talks about that. Don't let the sun go down on your anger. Okay, so fix issues. Another one is, please do not go to different issues. Stick to the topic, stick to the issue. If the issue is about A, talk about A. All right, and if you're offended by something, talk to your spouse right away. Don't wait and say, oh, I got offended when? Last week. Like, what happened last week? It's unfair. Your spouse won't remember it anymore, and you kept resentment in your heart towards your spouse. It's not going to help. So if you've got an issue, address it with your spouse as soon as possible, and then fix it during the day. And my wife and I always say this to one another. Guys, or Han, if you've got an issue with me and you don't address it today, it's going to be unfair if you suddenly bring it up next week, because I'm not going to remember anymore. So that's going to be your issue. You got to deal with that. All right? But you got to, so you have an issue, you talk to me now. And it works both ways. Another one is if your partner is expressing a hurt, don't make it about you. Don't make it about you. Like for example, your partner says, hon, you really hurt me with what you said yesterday or this morning or this afternoon or whenever. You really hurt me when you said this. Don't say, well, can't you see that I'm struggling so hard already with all these issues? Can't you see that you're so insensitive towards me? When I was a child growing up, this and that, this and that, this and that. You're not even sensitive to my childhood experience. So, you're very insensitive. Now what happened? He's expressing how you sinned against him, and then you turn the tables around and make it about yourself, and then you accuse him instead. That's unfair. If you hurt him, allow him to express himself, and then accept that you've hurt him. Don't make excuses. Don't justify it with your childhood, with your past, growing up this, growing up that. That's not gonna work. That's unfair. That's not going to help your marriage. The effect of that is your partner will keep things bottled up inside and will not open up to you anymore. And the long-term effect of that is, guess what? Resentment. Okay, and resentment will get into so many different issues. Right? What else? No labeling. No labeling. You're such a liar. You're such a blank. You're a thief. You're a this, you're a that. Address the behavior. I don't appreciate it when you lied or when you didn't tell me the full truth, when you didn't give me all the details about this issue. So don't say you're a liar. All right, so avoid labeling, avoid the physical violence, address things as they come. Don't let the sun go down in your anger. What else? Don't make it about you. Don't resort to childhood stuff. If both of you reach an impasse, get a third-party referee, someone who's mature in Scripture, mature in the faith, someone who can really be relied upon, trustworthy, knows the Bible well, and is not biased for either of you to be a kind of referee. Okay? Another rule is to always bring Scripture in it. Look at biblical principles. Avoid this is how I feel, that's how you feel. Don't do that. Go to Scripture, see what Scripture says. Now, when you have feelings and emotions that are very strong, express them under the guidance of Scripture. Okay? Under the guidance of Scripture. Don't threaten. Like, are you sure you want to go there? Don't you dare. Avoid that. Last two things, never weaponize sex and money. Never weaponize those. If you get mad at me tonight, no sex. If you get mad at me, if you bring this up, no financial allowance. Don't weaponize sex and money. Lastly, watch your body language, watch your tone, watch your facial expression, the rolling of the eyes, the psh, psh. Just avoid those, watch those, because those are very detrimental as well. God bless you. I hope this helped.